Greetings, fellow gorehounds, and welcome back to a Blood Splattered vlog. I'm the Horror Guru.
And I'm Count Jackula.
And if you can't already tell from the last two vlogs, we have decided we're going to catch up on a bunch of shows that we started but never quite finished.
Yep.
So, like the last vlog, we did The Witcher. Today, we're doing NOS4A2, the latest Joe Hill adaptation. Actually, the latest Joe Hill adaptation is Lock and Key.
Yeah,
but the last Joe Hill
adaptation.
Based on the book of the same name, which actually happens to be one of my favorite horror books. So I was really excited about watching the show. And I guess the first thing I can start off with, if you're a fan of that book, the show is really fucking faithful.
Oh, yeah.
But that being said, the show, the first season only adapts about half of the book.
Yeah, it does, because this book does the same thing that it does, where it takes place in two different time periods, separated by like about 30 years. What they did for the first season is that's just the stuff that happens in like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, they updated the time so it takes place more in the present. They basically did the flashback stuff as the first season, and the next season's gonna be the rest.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, it actually really worked really well. Because it gives you a lot of time to get to know these characters, to get to know the setup, to get to know how magic works in this world, because this is a supernatural horror tale.
Oh, yeah.
To give you the premise, if you've never read or heard of NOS4A2 before, it is essentially about two girls who are on the hunt for a serial killer that kills parents, kidnaps their kids, and takes them to a far-off mystical land called Christmas Land, and then turns them into weird vampire children.
Yeah, all with the help of an evil car.
Yeah, an evil car that has a license plate NOS4A2, hence NOS4A2. There's more vampire stuff than just that, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, the important thing is, the most important thing is casting of the bad guy in this one. And for this one, they chose
Zachary Quinto,
who was from Heroes and Star Trek.
Yep.
Played the replacement Spock.
He is perfect. The villain...
He's amazing. He's great in this.
The villain of the story, Charlie Manx, he perfectly captures everything about him. He's got the massive, vampire-esque charm to him. He's got the, what do you call it? The massive boomer energy,
oh god,
everything was better back in the old days.
Yeah, back in the 50s, man.
When men were men and women were women.
And women were pure and didn't fornicate.
He's also got the right quality to be. It's believable that he's tricking all these kids to come with him, because he's got this good Father Christmas quality to him when he does that. Even though as an adult you're watching that and going oh, that's creepy as shit.
Yeah. You're like, no, stranger danger. Oh my god,
And if nothing else, he fucking sells the shit out of this show. But here's the other thing about this show. Everyone else is cast perfectly too.
Oh yes.
The main character, Victoria, Vic McQueen, they found the perfect actress to bring her to life, because she felt like she left straight off the page, and you're watching. And the other thing I liked about her was that she wasn't Hollywood perfect looking actress.
No.
She didn't
no one in this show is super pretty.
Yeah, no one looks like they walked off a CW teen show.
No.
Everyone looks like real people, and she looks like a real person you could run into in New Jersey.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're not even as pretty as the people in Sabrina.
No. Sabrina's got that kind of CW, everyone's kind of gorgeous casting.
Yeah. No one has crooked teeth.
Yep.
No one has bad skin.
Even the characters that are ostensibly supposed to be chubbier are still pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. With maybe this exception being the one aunt is supposed to be a little bit more heavy set, but all of Sabrina's friends are all gorgeous.
Yeah. Everyone's super stupidly good looking.
Exactly.
Whereas in this, they're supposed to feel like real people.
Yeah, so everyone feels real and raw, and everyone's doing that Jersey accent.
Yeah.
And so you really brings you to the period. The one thing that Joe Hill has that he totally inherited from his dad, Stephen King, because if you don't know, Joe Hill is Stephen King's son, is his ability to create realistic and awful feeling towns.
Oh yeah.
New England shitty towns.
Yeah. Another trivia about Joe Hill that some of you know, but some of you probably don't, is he's the little kid in the original Creep Show.
That's true.
got a pain in your neck,
Yep.
Dad? You know, I'll teach you to throw away my comic books. That's why God created fathers, babe. That's why God created fathers.
This is one of the rare cases where I might put a little bit of a warning here for any of you out there that suffers from parental abuse PTSD.
Oh, geez, yeah.
Because one of the other things Joe Hill does amazingly in the book and the movie perfectly creates is what a realistically complicated broken home is like.
Yeah. It's not as simple as someone's the bad guy.
No, it's not as simple as someone's the bad guy. People are getting beaten. People are emotionally abusing people. It is really uncomfortable. And like, it hit close enough home to me to where like we had to watch this in parts because it was like
yeah. Because you actually had an alcoholic parent.
Oh yeah.
You know?
And they kind of capture what that's like perfectly in this.
Yeah, it's really. I thought it was really interesting because I really loved the fact that it's not like, oh, Dad drinks, Dad's evil.
No,
it's not that simple. It feels a lot more like you've got two parents who are just weak.
Yeah, they're extremely flawed people. Both of them want the best for their kid, but they're such flawed people, and their flaws get in the way of them being better parents than they are.
Yeah.
You have the dad who's dealing with alcoholism, and he has a tendency to fly off the handle, especially to his wife. So he's extremely abusive to the wife, but he's extremely loving and supportive of his daughter.
Yeah.
So his daughter's kind of caught in the center there. And then you have the mom who's incredibly like verbally and mentally abusive to the daughter, but actually is trying to get her on like a good path, but she's like getting in the way of all her dreams and stuff. So she's not really supportive. It's like,
like you got one parent that's emotionally supportive but can't do anything else, and one who can do all the other stuff but is emotionally abusive.
So you have this weird scenario in which the kid is more attracted to one parent, but that parent is almost like objectively worse in what they've done. But the other parent is like literally getting in the way of her being able to do something with herself.
Yeah.
And I liked the way I liked the way both the show and the book drew that out, because it feels so raw and real,
Yeah.
You know, like I know Joe Hill came from the Stephen King family, so he didn't come from this world of poverty that we see in the show, but he captures it perfectly.
Yeah. It's clear that he's familiar with it.
And it's also obvious that the reason why both the parents are the way they are is because of the environment they're in. It's because of this town. It's because there's nowhere for any of them to go. Like, once you accidentally knock up your girlfriend in the small town,
that's fucking it.
You know?
That's something the show captures like so incredibly well, which is, no, small towns are fucking shitty.
But at the same time, what is there to do in a small town but like get drunk,
drink, and fuck? It's the only two things you got.
But, and so I really like that the show captures that not only through the parents, but also through the life of the daughter, Vic, because you can also feel that she could totally end up on this path.
Oh, yeah.
Easily. And you could also see why the mom is terrified she will,
Well, yeah, like in certain ways, she is her daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
It comes through very, very well.
So you're watching a show where in any given scene, someone's the bad guy, but in the overall gestalt of it, you're sitting there going like, it's not as easy as who's the bad guy and who's not. Like, it's...
Yeah. If you're worried about that, you're asking the wrong question.
Exactly.
Which someone does answer at the end of the show.
Oh, absolutely. Because obviously, like, by the end of the show, she's got to come towards some journey, because she's got to reach where she is in the present time of where the book takes place. The one thing I will say about the show is that it spends a lot of time on that stuff, the family dynamics between her and her parents. And it does slow the show down a little bit, but it is so good and engaging.
Yeah.
Like, they probably could have cut it down, because it's about 10 episodes right now, and you probably could have cut it down to about 8 because it is real slow. But it's so good that even though it's slow, I feel weird calling it a bad thing. Like it's
It's odd because you find yourself going like, yeah, you probably could have tightened this up a little bit. It would have been a little bit better. But how to put it? While it does feel like there's some wasted space, it doesn't feel you don't feel like you're struggling for content.
Yeah, it's that thing where I'm not sitting there going like, that shouldn't be there.
Yeah. There's not a scene where you're like, oh my God, why is this fucking here? You know, everything does build up to something, and yet you feel like, man, I feel like this could have been tightened up.
Like you could have combined 2 scenes a couple times. Maybe,
that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff.
Like I think they could have, but at the same time, I understand their dilemma they were in because having seen the whole show and seeing everything they put in, which is a lot of the stuff from the book, it's really faithful. I don't know.
It's so faithful that there is a part of the book that they cut out of the show proper, but they added it as an extra on Shudder.
Yes,
you know, which I thought was
there's a little backstory bit they added as like a little short, and I liked watching it. It's not even necessary, but I liked watching it. Oh yeah,
it's completely unnecessary, but like it's just more stuff about like the story that's going on.
Absolutely.
You know, nice little details. I think that's probably the best way of putting it. It's like you don't mind those extra details that are there, but you do find yourself going like, I don't know if they're strictly necessary.
Not strictly. Like you probably could, like I said, like I wouldn't cut most things out. I would probably just condense. But at the same time, I don't know if that would muddle things. So I understand why they did what they did.
Yeah, it all depends on how they're going to handle that second part of the book.
There is a lot, okay, let me put it this way. Take a look at this book right here. There's a lot to go that they did not cover.
Yeah, how far did they get in this season?
This season's about, I would say, maybe half, maybe a little less than half, because the stuff in the present is the story proper.
Right. And you were telling me that's the point where like it gets into like some fucking poltergeist shit.
There's some shit, it goes off the rails at that point. Like they the one good thing is they're not going to be hurting for content next season. There's a lot of shit, and I know that the next season is not going to have the same slow problem that this one had.
Right.
You know, because the thing is that in the book, when you're cutting back between all that stuff from the past, you're also like cutting to something that's happening in the present that's more action based.
Right.
You know, so that a lot of that stuff is going to be in the next half.
They're going to have to like recast a lot of people, aren't they?
It depends. They could age up the actress. They could do all sorts of things. Like we'll have to see
yeah. But I mean, like
the old man makeup they do.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, it's on Charlie Banks is really good.
Yeah, and all they have to do is just make them look like they're like 10 or 20 years old.
Yeah, about the only problem that you have is that fucking dude boy is such a young physical actor that you can tell he doesn't actually have an old man voice.
Well, here's the other thing. Like, they could also change the timeline a little bit. Because they've
make
already,
it like 10 to 15 years as opposed to...
Yeah, they've already adjusted the timeline to be set in the 2010s as opposed to the early 2000s or the 90s. So they've already adjusted stuff. So they could easily not have it be as long time in the future, especially since by the end of the show, they imply things are going to happen a lot faster.
Yeah.
You know. Okay, so I highly recommend this show with the warning that if you suffer from any sort of PTSD from an abusive parental household, then you might want to enter this with caution. You might have to watch it in sections.
Yeah. I might have to pause, chill out for a bit, come back to it.
Also, if you have any sort of that type of PTSD combined with family PTSD from Christmas, doubly be careful going in. Because Christmas Land, this thing has like Christmas all over it.
Oh God! This place, when they show you that place, it's so fucking creepy.
And oh God, I guess with that said, we're gonna move on to the spoilers now because I don't know what else to talk about without the spoilers.
It's really, man, the spoiler section is really weird because, you don't want to ruin anything, but at the same time, like, once again, it's, the story does kind of unfold the way you kind of predict when things happen.
Oh, yeah.
But, because that's not the story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not a Shyamalan kind of like, oh my God,
well, the funny thing is
Twilight Zone kind of thing, you know.
The funny thing is, because they cut it into half and they put it as a season, they kind of, like, gave it a story unto itself, whereas like the core story of NOS4A2 is let's defeat Charlie Manx and all that stuff, like this evil child abductor / serial killer guy. But like, because they cut out like half of it and they made it into one season, they basically made the story of this season about a girl who's trying to decide whether she wants to leave her shitty town.
Yeah.
And all the things that are keeping her there and all the reasons she wants to go.
Yeah,
and the decisions she has to make.
Yeah, whereas in the book, you know what her decision was from the get-go.
Yeah, because we're introduced to her as an adult, so we have a better idea of where she's at.
But, that same decision is still something that happens in the novel. So it works to just lift all that stuff out, make that season 1, and then do the rest as another season.
Because basically you have the core thing that Vic is dealing with outside of the whole serial killer with magic power shenanigans happening. She basically wants to go to art school. She wants to be an artist. But her mom doesn't have the money to afford art school, so is trying to discourage her from that, and is kind of encouraging her to try to take like a job like she has cleaning rich houses.
Yeah, and like they run into, and she runs into a lot of the problems that a lot of people fucking applying for college run into. Like, where's the money going to come from? What do you mean we've never filed income taxes, so I can't fucking fill out the financial aid form? What do you mean?
Yeah,
you know,
the first half of this season is basically about that. While we have, like, the specter of Charlie Manx slowly encroaching onto the story.
Yeah. Like, he's kidnapping children doing evil things and is edging closer and closer to where our main characters are.
You know, and then the second half is when shit really kicks into gear. But for the
kind
first...
of like, I just realized, it actually is kind of like a car collision.
Yeah.
You know, like, he just collides into their
her
plot.
motorcycle and his car.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing. Like, I didn't talk about this in the non-spoiler section for the simple reason that, like, if you've never seen NOS4A2 before, experiencing this for the first time is really fun. Is that in the world of NOS4A2, it's kind of like the world of The Shining in that there are people who have, like, particular powers. They're called strong creatives. And they basically have these abilities to go to these mindscapes and do certain things. For example, there's a character who has this Scrabble bag that her name's Maggie, and she can reach into the Scrabble bag, pull out tiles, ask it any question, and the tiles will answer.
Yeah, this also, the other thing that you probably will get a kick out of is that most of the Joe Hill stories also exist in a continuous universe.
Oh, sure.
So there are hints of this ability that show up in, for example, horns.
Oh, yeah. I can see that, yeah. And so like her bag is like the mindscape for her, and her tool that she uses to access it is the bag itself, which is called a blade. And basically Vic discovers over the first half of this season that she is a strong creative. Her blade is her motorcycle, and her ability is to find things through a bridge that appears when she wants it to take her where the thing is.
Yeah.
You know, so if she's like, oh, my dad lost his keys. Where are the keys? And so then the bridge will take her to the cafe in which he dropped his keys. You know, it's like...
Yeah.
You know, and so what's really cool is that, like, if you're following the narrative really closely, one thing you'll realize is that all the blades are the things that these characters use to escape their abusive world.
Yeah.
So
it's the magic wand, it's the ruby slippers, it's the anything like the Athame.
So you have Maggie, who grew up in one of those like super religious like Hispanic families.
Yeah.
And the way if she escaped from this super oppressive nature of that religiousness.
Yeah. The Hispanic part's not the problem.
No, that's not the problem. Yeah. It's the religious part that's the problem. Trying to escape that is through the magic tiles that she gets, but unfortunately that also gets her kicked out of the house.
Yeah. Well, because you find out through the course of the story that she is like, like a queer rock and roll kind of chick.
So the religious oppression is hard, which leads her to the non-helpful escape, which is the drugs. Because she's not taking the good ones.
Yeah.
She's not taking the good ones. And then you have the helpful escape, which are the magic tiles. And then you have Vic, who is stuck in this deadbeat New England town in which everyone is pretty much poor, drunk and abusive.
Yeah.
And her only escape is her motorcycle. So her motorcycle becomes her blade that can take her through her bridge and stuff.
Yep.
Even Charlie Manx has a blade and an escape place. His mindscape is Christmas Land, and his blade is the Wraith. His car, the one with the license plate, NOS4A2.
Yeah, and there's one of the things that kind of separates like Charlie Manx's knife from everyone else's is the fact that you get the feeling that the knife itself is alive.
Yes. Absolutely. Like, he has reached a point of oneness with his Wraith where you don't know where Charlie begins and the Wraith begins. Like, because the Wraith itself can move, it can do anything he wants, and sometimes it seems like it's doing it without his
without his knowledge. It just does
so it's almost like an obedient
it's like
dog.
Christine.
Yeah, like Christine.
It's like Christine, but with a much slower temper.
But the other thing about strong creatives is that using their abilities and using their blades takes a toll on them to some capacity. And Charlie has found a way around this toll by essentially sucking the youth out of children, which is how he stays young. And when he's not sucking the youth out of children, he slowly gets old. And when he gets old, he looks like a crippled Nosferatu.
Oh, yeah. He looks like, Max Shrek.
So this is why he kidnaps children, takes them to Christmas Land, because when they're in Christmas Land, he sucks out all their youth, and he gets to live his 1950s fantasy of being the world's best dad.
Yup. And oh my God. Well, it's also weird because they don't like it. How to put it? Actually, I don't even know if you could say that it sucks out the children's youth so much as that it eats their soul.
Yeah, their soul is probably a better thing because they turn into these monstrous vampire kids. Yeah. That eat people. And he will occasionally bring people to Christmas Land for them to devour, and he has like thousands of them because he's been doing this for ages.
Yeah, I think we're pretty clear that Charlie Manx is supposed to be like from the 30s.
Yeah, he's from some time in the past. That much is very obvious. They even have this whole flashback with this one girl he had a fling with from the 1950s.
Yeah.
And she used to use roller skates as her blade, and her strong creative power is that she can, like, essentially what's it called when you have an out-of-body experience?
Yeah, she can astrally project.
Yeah, astral projection. She can astral project places.
And she's extremely powerful while she does
this. Absolutely, absolutely. And here's the other thing you find out, that Charlie Manx, he's looking for a mom for his children. But the mom has to be strong, powerful, and pure.
And like, by pure, we mean like Madonna whore complex kind of shit.
So that adds another dimension to this season. There's also this kind of dimension of the fucked upness of like I don't know what else to call it other than the boomer expectations.
Oh my God, yeah.
Placed upon the young, in this case, Zoomer youth.
Yeah. Yeah, it depends on where the present of the story is, whether it's millennial or Zoomer.
I'm pretty sure the present's supposed to be in the 2010s, so she's 17, she's a Zoomer.
She's a Zoomer, okay, all right. All right, but yeah.
Oh, wait, she's 18, they especially...
Oh, that's right, right. Yeah, she's 18 in this. Yeah. But the thing that's like so fucking interesting about Charlie Manx is that he has this amazingly fair streak.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
He's got a weird moral code to him. That doesn't mean he doesn't do awful fucked up shit.
He's evil as fuck.
But there's definitely like a weird code. It's like a weird bastardization of like Santa Claus's naughty and nice list.
Yeah. He's what you would call lawful evil.
Yeah.
He's like, there's a nice list and a naughty list. You don't want to be on the naughty list.
Like, oh my God, you love to hate this fucking guy.
Oh my God, yeah.
He's one of those villains where you're just like, oh my God, that is fucked up, but you kind of love watching him.
Well, yeah, like, how to put it, by the time they actually get around to killing him in this season, that's not going to be the end because it's just not satisfying enough. You're like, oh no, that's too light. No. This guy, like, it's got to be like, hanging's too good for him. Yep. Burning's too good for him.
Absolutely.
He should be torn into bitty pieces and buried alive.
But of course, this puts him in conflict. His weird, like lawful way and his weird backwards, like old school 1950s view, Madonna whore complexing it up.
Yeah.
Like
including like this, including the fact that the children are never allowed to go up, and he doesn't seem to notice this.
Yes. Yep.
You know, this is not a calculation in his
which
mind.
I love the little nods to that, like the fact that there's like this Peter Pan bus service and stuff like.
Yeah.
Because he's got the lost children. Like.
Yeah.
Whoever would production designed this show had a blast putting little Easter eggs everywhere.
Oh yeah.
But like this puts him at odds with our two main characters, who are both strong creatives. Maggie being the one who can use the tiles, and Vic who can use the motorcycle and the bridge.
Yeah.
Because they are both young women, one of which is gay.
Yep.
And if you're thinking like okay, the character is gay, do they actually acknowledge that? There's a point where we see her eating someone's pussy. So
yeah.
Sure they acknowledge it.
Yeah. They do.
I'm pretty sure they acknowledge that shit.
You know, they do to the point that they definitely should.
Yes.
You know, because her romantic relationship is not with Vic.
No, it's not with Vic.
Yeah.
They have a pure friendship.
Yeah.
Because Vic is straight and she's gay, so it's like.
Yeah, so that's not gonna fucking work. And they make that very clear that that's where things are by. But at the same time, obviously, it works having Maggie, right?
Maggie,
having Maggie be queer. So it's like, okay, so she is, but is she in a relationship with McQueen? No, we're not doing that. But it's
it also
important to bring it up because it's a major part of her character.
Well, it's also important to the plot too, because the thing is that Charlie is attracted to women who are strong creatives with a lot of power.
Oh,
and it makes sense why he would not like want to go for Maggie, for the simple fact that like Maggie being gay taints her.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, because later on in the show, when Vic loses her virginity, like Charlie loses his shit and decides just to kill her after spending most of the show trying to seduce her.
Yeah.
Because he has a huge Madonna whore complex and she has been tainted.
Yep.
The one thing I will say about this show that is kind of like a teen drama show kind of thing is that one of the things that kind of represents the weird choice that Vic is having to choose in her life is that she has these two boys.
Yeah.
One who comes from this kind of rich world that can easily get into the art school and all that stuff because he has all the money in the world.
Yep.
And one who is local boy.
Local boy.
Poor like her.
Poor, single mom. They live in a trailer.
Also, best friends since they were kids. So kind of the kid that's been kind of regulated to the friend zone. But one thing that's really interesting about it is that it becomes very clear that the reason why he's regulated to that is not because she doesn't like him. In fact, she loves him just as much as her parents.
Yeah.
The reason why he's regulated to that zone is because she is deathly worried that he is the equivalent of her dad for her.
Yep.
And that if they get together, then she's going to get knocked up and she's going to get stuck in the town and she's never going to become the artist she wants to get.
Yeah. And
it's like her mom's fears.
Yeah, her mom's
personified.
Yeah, except for the realization that she has a little too late, which is that he is not like her father.
No, he is the opposite.
Yeah, he's actually responsible. He is actually strong.
He even takes care of his own mom.
Yep.
Which is something you cannot see her father doing.
No.
Her father is extremely irresponsible. Her father is incredibly abusive to the mom. And he's constantly, like, I think we see him with, like, 2 different women.
Yeah. He goes through, like, 2 different chicks in the course of, like, what has to be, like, a 6 months
and crashing on their couches, by the way. Basically,
yeah. Like,
technically he has his own room in one, but like that's basically what he's doing.
Yeah, he's basically crashing with these single women.
Yeah,
you know,
all of which want nothing to do with Vic.
Yeah.
So you have the dad who is more supportive than the mom, but dating women that don't want anything to do with her.
Vic does not have the de facto stepmother who loves her. You
know? So the poor second boy has the problem to where like he is ostensibly perfect for her, except for the fact that he represents everything she doesn't want to get stuck in.
Yep.
And then you have the other boy who is clearly nice and friendly, but comes from such a different world that you know it's not going to work out.
Yeah, it's too different. He doesn't understand
her.
He doesn't understand her on a
like
basic
he may
level.
love her, he may like her, he may want the best for her, but he doesn't understand her.
Yeah.
You know, and that becomes clear the more the show goes on, because for a while there, she's choosing him. You know.
Yep. You know, and they also the friend circles are different, very different, you know.
And one of the things that happens over the course of the show is that her rich friend helps her try to figure out a way to get funding for art school. And then that like totally gets sabotaged by her parents. But then she also makes a really fucked up thing because she forges her father's information for art school.
Yeah. Which I'm going to be honest, I found myself going,
What choice
do you have? You know, it's
But the thing she was risking by doing that, and what was that both her father and her mom do everything under the table, so they are not paying taxes.
Yeah. So there's a chance that the IRS might like find out, but I mean,
her parents leave her no real choice, unfortunately.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing is that it's not something a kid would understand, but like you find yourself going like, yeah, the problem with that is that the IRS wants you, they're going to get you.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter.
Now the thing is that all that stuff I'm talking about is a lot of like drama stuff with her life, and that is like the first half of this show. And even though it gets slow after a time, and you want it to like start to kick into gear, it's all really fucking engaging.
Yeah.
And it's all raw and real and relatable. like,
yeah. It never, like, it feels like at any point it might risk becoming like Dawson's Creek. For like
for a second. But
it never does.
But it keeps a level of reality where it never quite goes into that same soap opera vein that shows like that go. Like,
well, yeah, it never wades in the shallow end of the pool. Like, it gets right into what's fucked up.
Absolutely. And... whew, man, is it a ride?
Yeah. It's really hard to describe the show except by saying it's really, really good. It does take a while because it's 10 episodes, 10 hours. But with that said, it's really good, and my favorite scene actually happens at the very end.
Oh yeah,
favorite scene happens at the very end where
this season goes out on a bang.
Oh yeah, sure. Basically. What in oh god. Okay, so against what's clearly a good idea, the boyfriend tries to protect Vic, and it goes badly.
Oh yeah.
But it goes badly for a reason that you could predict. The problem isn't that this guy isn't strong. It's not that he isn't right. It's that he's not a killer.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, no, you face this guy, you have to be a killer.
Yeah, you're watching that scene and you're like, oh man, there are multiple moments where you could have achieved this, but you needed to be willing to kill.
Yeah. You needed to be willing to murder this guy.
You know, because you're going to be overpowered otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. And they made it very clear that he's not quite able to, cross that threshold, which is a good thing. Mm-hmm. You know, which is basically a good thing. It's just dangerous here. And so he doesn't make it. But what becomes clear is that near the end is that Vic got his kid.
Yeah.
She did, in fact, but she became a teenage mother. You know?
The ultimate personification of her struggle now. The boy isn't even around anymore. But the only thing left of him is inside her. It's this kid. But having the kid will get in the way of her going to art school and leaving the town, because she's probably going to need her mother's help. She's probably going to need her father's help to deal with the kid and do anything else.
Yeah. And so she doesn't really know what to do. And so even though she was with this guy at the memorial for him, she is like a complete outsider. Mm-hmm. I've been there.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, you're just sitting there and you're like, it's weird to be in a room with a bunch of people memorializing someone and going, I can't believe I'm the person who knew this person better than any of you.
Yeah.
And none of you know who
the way they did that was fucking masterful. Because you're sitting there watching the scene, and the one thing that's very obvious is that no one in that room knows this character more than Vic. Vic spent half her life
Yeah.
With this guy, maybe even more, because they knew each other since they were kids, so probably even more.
Yeah.
And so she knew him better than anyone, so she's listening to everyone talk about him and how alienating it is to like hear their takes on who he was and knowing that's not who he was.
Yeah. Yeah. So she starts getting some morning sickness because, pregnant.
Yep.
And while she's there, her boyfriend's mom watches her.
Yeah.
And at first you're like, it's a really tense scene because you don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah.
You don't know how this is going to go.
Like, is this going to be a case where the mom hates the hussy that got her kid killed? Like,
yeah. Yeah, but in the end, what she says is, get out of this town. Do it now. It's a bad place. It was me. It was wrong to my boy. It was wrong to me. It'll be wrong to you.
That whole speech of there is not a single person in that room back there that is worth the dirt in my son's fingernails.
Yeah. No one in that room is worth the dirt under my son's fingernails. No one else knew that he had a heart of gold. No one else knew who he really was, but you and me. You did. And the thing I like about it is, without saying it, they get very clear that she knows that Vic is pregnant with her son's kid. Yeah. She absolutely fucking knows. But her advice is still,
go.
Do what you gotta to get out of here.
Yeah, get out of here. I like that because I also read it as her knowing.
Oh, yeah.
I can easily see how someone might not, but I totally did.
I totally did. And the great thing at the end, which is kind of ruined, which doesn't work if you read it in the book because you already know, is that Vic takes a third option that she didn't realize was there for the longest time.
She can leave with the kid.
Yeah, she can live with the kid. She could just raise the kid more or less on her own. And doesn't need the town. Doesn't need her parents. Just get the fuck out.
God, like, here's the thing. I said this show can be slow sometimes, but like that moment, part of the reason why I'm not sure I would cut anything out is just that moment felt so fucking earned when she's riding out of town. Like,
yeah.
Like, it felt like had I not been through every second of those 10 episodes, this would not feel as fucking cathartic as it is to see her.
Yeah. Like, and like, how to put it? Like, you know, if everyone had their fucking druthers, you would have been playing like Thunder Road or Born to Run or fucking some shit while that was going on.
But if you know anything about this story, Charlie Manx is gonna come back, and now she's got a kid. So
so yes,
get ready for season 2.
Yeah, and what? Oh man, the
Lou.
Yeah. When Lou, I heard about that character. I was like, I don't know if they're going to introduce this guy in this part of the, and then they did, and I'm like,
perfectly cast too. He was awesome.
Yeah.
You'll know it when you see it. You'll know Lou when you see it. He's probably one of the biggest surprises of the last 2 episodes.
Yes.
And he's awesome. One other thing I want to talk about. Another person who was fucking perfectly cast. Like, everyone's perfectly cast. But another person who was fucking perfectly cast. Bing. Who's essentially Charlie Manx's Renfield in this story.
Yeah.
And he's this big fat guy who's probably on some sort of spectrum because he's definitely got like a regressive child mind despite being an adult.
Oh, yeah.
He's obviously got a lot of trauma and stuff like that because he had an abusive dad. But more than that, he killed his parents.
Yeah.
And has a criminal record from when he was a kid from murdering and raping his mom.
Yep.
And he is surprisingly...
Did they actually show that part?
They showed it.
That's right.
We thought they were going to not
do that.
We thought they might have cut it out, but then they go back to it.
Yeah. It's like,
They go back to it in a moment where it's obvious he's going to do it to someone else.
Yes.
And what I love about Bing on this show is that at the beginning of the show, if you have not read the book, if you know nothing about NOS4A2, you feel so bad for this guy. Like, you're sitting there going like, oh my God, this poor dude. And he's just being led around by Charlie to do all this stuff. And then you find out his past.
Yeah, then they drop the bomb on you.
And then you see the stuff he's willing to do when Charlie isn't around. And then you get to the end of the story and you start to realize that no, he's a fucking monster of his own. Like,
yeah, oh yeah. Well, it's like, it's two different versions of, like, man-childness.
Yes, 100%.
You know, like, Bing is the much more, like, kind of infantile, where Charlie is, like, kind of, like, stuck in preteen.
Yep.
You know, like, he never quite matured, but he's definitely... the good dude does a great job of playing an adult that's a kid pretending to be an adult.
Absolutely.
You know, which is of course what makes Charlie so dangerous.
Oh, absolutely. Zachary Quinto does a great job on the show. Like
amazing.
His version of Charlie Manx to me feels like what we never quite got out of Sylar on Heroes.
Oh, totally, yes. Yeah, because you always did feel like there was a missing piece somehow.
Well, because
like that show,
by the second season, when they had the writer's strike and everything changed, they started turning Sylar into more of a different character than he was initially.
Yeah,
you know, and I feel like this show, I'm finally getting the absolute monster that I kind of wanted out of that character.
Well, yeah, like, you know, I don't know how to put it. It's like you may feel bad for Sylar, but the guy's fucking evil.
Yep.
You know, he's fucking like splitting people open and taking their superpowers.
Absolutely.
You know.
All right, I think we have spoiled a lot for you guys, so I apologize if there was stuff that you wanted us to leave off. There is still a lot of things that happen in the show that we didn't talk about, but you can find that out for yourself if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, if you read the book, you're not going to be disappointed.
I love the show. I can't wait for part 2. I'm hoping part 2 is just the second half of the book, but I'll understand if they want to stretch it to a third season, but I hope that's not at the expense of
I hope it's the right
pacing.
Whatever they do, I hope it's the right decision.
Exactly.
You know?
So check out NOS4A2. We watched it through Amazon.
Yeah, we watched it through, it's on Amazon Prime.
Was it Shudder?
If you have a Shudder subscription.
Yeah. We watched it through Shudder, so there we go. And where can they find you, Count Jackula?
Well, I stream twice a week on twitch.tv, count_Jackula, and I stream every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and again on Sunday at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I stream randomly during the week, but those are the 2 times I am definitely on. You can also find me on Twitter, on Instagram.
Yep.
And, hey, I'd love to see you come down to the stream, chat up a storm, we'll have some fun, and talk about fucked up shit, because that's kind of my life.
Yeah, that's life right now. And y'all know me, I'm the Horror Guru. You can find me at the Horror Guru on Twitter, on Twitch, on Facebook. Just look up the Horror Guru or Blood Splattered Cinema, and I'll be there. And since you're here on my YouTube page right now, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and comment under this video. And don't forget to ring that notification bell so that you're notified of my videos immediately upon their upload. And if you want to help out the channel more directly, then be sure to check out my Patreon page. And if you decide to go the Patreon route, know that even $1 a month can go a long way. And now that we got all that said, I think I'm gonna reread this before the next season so that I
Are you going to read
can get
that book, Joshua?
Yes, and get a refresher. Because I'm also really curious, because it felt like a super faithful adaptation. I want to reread it just to see if there was any changes that I didn't catch.
Yeah, good point.
Makes sense.
Yeah, totally.
If you have read the book, feel free to comment below with the stuff that you caught that they changed, just because I'm curious. And with that said, peace out, my fellow Gorehounds, and I'll catch y'all later.